Court is now in session for... how do I say that?
Machi Tobaye, Your Honor. The pixie of the arpeggio.
Right. His trial. Court is in session.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution is A-OK, Herr Judge.
Very well. Prosecutor Gavin?
My opening statement, yeah?
No, actually, there is something else I want to ask you about.
Yes?
Say you're going to visit someone in the hospital with an incurable disease. What do you say to them?
Eh?
I mean, you wouldn't say, get well soon, right? You'd only be kicking them when they're down.
What are you talking about?
Actually, I'm going to visit someone who is terminally ill, right after this trial. The Chief Justice's son.
The Chief Justice?
His son is afflicted with a most terrible disease. He doesn't have long, it seems. So I thought I'd go pay him a visit. I thought saying something moving might be the order of the day.
Why don't grown-ups ever just say what's on their mind instead of pretending? She's looking at me with something like disgust. Hey, what are you looking at me like that for?
In any case, I'm a bit busy today, so let's wrap this up quickly. Prosecutor Gavin, your opening statement, briefly.
You're in luck, Herr Judge. I believe you'll be going on your hospital visit sooner than you think. First, to review the victim in this case. Romeo Letus, age 35. The global manager for diva songstress Lamiroir. The cause of death, blood loss due to being shot by a large caliber revolver. This report has all the details.
The court accepts this into evidence. 45 caliber? That's quite large, isn't it? A direct hit from that could knock a man off his feet.
However, the bullet struck him in his shoulder. The damage to the body was slight. Death was not immediate. Sadly, his blood loss was such that he could not be saved.
I suppose the victim's condition could have been much worse, considering...
Two shots were fired. One shot missed, the other penetrated and passed through the victim's shoulder. Both bullets were found in the wall at the scene. Observe the diagram. This is where the bullets hit.
I see. The court accepts this evidence. If we're talking about a 45 caliber revolver, we must assume that the killer was adept at the weapon's use.
Really? Yeah, apparently weapons at that size have a powerful kickback. If, say, the judge tried to fire one, it'd break every bone in his body.
The defense will take more care in choosing examples.
As I was saying, the victim was shot backstage in a dressing room. This dressing room has only one entrance, this door.
That does seem to be the case, yes.
However, there were witnesses who heard the gunshots.
He's talking about you and Emma, huh?
Yet when the witnesses entered the room, it was empty, save for the victim's body, of course.
But that's impossible!
Exactly. This murder was impossible. For all but one person.
One person?
That is, of course, the defendant, Machi Tobaye.
Only this defendant could have committed the crime. But how?
It's quite simple. The circumstances of the crime scene makes it clear.
Very well. I assume you have testimony to back up this claim. Please show the witness to the stand.
Your name and profession, please. I'm a Sky. I'm a detective for the police department. I was on security detail at the concert forum that night.
Emma seems tired somehow.
Security at the concert, we say.
Some security I was. Couldn't even stop a murder.
Now, don't blame yourself. Things like this happen. I've made even bigger mistakes in my career, you know.
I'm sure that makes her feel much better. I want to hear about these bigger mistakes.
In any case, because you were on security details, the crime was quickly discovered. And we were able to identify the killer. You may give the court your testimony, if you would. Describe the circumstances of that day and your discovery of the crime, please. Alright.
Alright. Here we go.
The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request. Only people involved with the concert in some way were allowed backstage. At the beginning of the third set, I heard shots. I went into the room filled with blaring rock music and found the body. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it.
It was lucky that a detective was the first on the scene.
But that door was the only way out of the room, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Then I don't get it. How can they say that Machi did it?
Looks like we need a bit more information.
Very well. The defense may begin the cross-examination.
The night of the murder, I was on security backstage at Prosecutor Gavin's request.
The night of the murder was the night of the concert, yes?
That's right.
Well, what was the detective doing on security detail, might I ask? If it was only a concert.
My thoughts exactly. But orders are orders, even when they come from rock gods.
Prosecutor Gavin?
Yes, allow me to explain. I smelled something that day, you might say. The stench of conspiracy. That day at the concert hall.
Conspiracy?
Well, isn't it obvious? My keys! That whole morning. No, the whole day was ruined. And it's all because someone stole my keys. I couldn't ride my hawk to the show. I couldn't open my guitar case.
There he goes again. Isn't it possible he simply misplaced them?
Misplace them? Misplaced items don't just wander into murder victims' hand on their own.
What's this? Prosecutor Gavin, if your keys were in the victim's hand, that makes you a prime suspect!
Love, slow acting anew. A trick-one-ine is waiting for you.
He's singing something. Does everything with this guy have to be so over the top?
The killing happened in the middle of my concert. I was, like a sailor, adrift on a sea of sound. Anyway, I didn't want anything else stolen. So I put the detective with the most time on their hands on the task.
I see. I can accept that.
Well, I can't. What do you mean, time on their hands?
Please, the testimony.
Only people involved with a concert in some way were allowed backstage.
We were let in, though.
I didn't know about that. I certainly didn't invite you. I gave the Fräulein special permission to be there. I wanted to see her again.
Oh boy, did you hear that? We're officially involved now. Gee, great.
Some other hangers-on tried to get backstage, but I drove them off.
So no other outsiders were there then.
And then, at the beginning of the third set, I heard shots.
I believe we were having a chat when we heard the shots.
You were the one chatting. I was eating snackies.
Ah, hey, no stacking in court.
And you're sure the shots came... And you're sure the shots came from Lamiroir's room?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, I'm the one being cross-examined here. Here, this'll keep you quiet. Katonk.
Thanks. So, how about it?
We were right there. Hard to be mistaken about that.
Please, either talk or eat. Not both at the same time.
Right, so after that, me and Mr. Lawyer there opened the dressing room door. I went into the room filled with blaring rock music and found the body.
Rock?
Blaring, yes.
When you say rock, are you referring, perhaps, to this rock and roll music that's so popular these days.
That's right. When we went into the dressing room, music was blaring over the speaker on the wall.
They pipe sound from the stage into the backstage through speakers. That way people in the back can hear when they're supposed to be on stage.
Did it have to be so loud?
You don't listen to the governors with your ears. You feel it with your entire body and soul. I always have the backstage monitors at full volume. When we walked in the room, the band was playing Guilty Love, I believe, making it easy to determine the time of the crime.
If you could hear that music playing,
Then everyone on stage for that song has an alibi, including myself. Anyway,
Including the pianist that is being, right now, charged with murder.
Anyway, I closed out the scene and started my investigation. I examined the scene and determined that only the defendant could have done it.
How could you know something like that?
As I said, it was clear from the circumstances. Listen. We know that there was only one exit from the room, that door. The small window only opened a tiny crack, and I was standing in front of that door. So, how could the killer have fled the scene? There's only one possibility, the air vent.
Oh! But that air vent was too small. Who could possibly...
Exactly. There's certainly no way you could get through, nor me. The only one who could fit through was a child.
A child?
Remember, access to those rooms was limited. Only those involved with the concert were allowed. And of all the people involved in the concert, only one is small enough to be considered a child.
the defendant.
The pixie of the arpeggio flitted up toward the sky and disappeared from the scene of the crime.
But that's just conjecture.
Oh? There was no other way out of that room. You were there. You should know, Hair Forehead. And there is another vital piece of evidence.
Evidence? What?
Marks were found on the air vent grill. Traces that it had recently been opened.
Wait, what?
And something else was found, quite clearly. The defendant, Machi Tobaye's fingerprints.
What? What?
Order! Order! Order!
That air vent was the only way out of the room. The defendant's fingerprints were found on the grill. Well, Hair Forehead, what fairy tale does this suggest to you? Only one could pass through that vent, that doorway to heaven. And that one is our pixie.
Why are you looking at me, Apollo? Hey, I was out whooping it up in the audience. So, this was his decisive evidence.
Quite decisive indeed. I believe that's enough of that. The prosecution has a rather convincing case. The only way in and out of the crime scene was watched, making the defendant the only one who could possibly leave the scene. Simple and decisive. I believe we've heard enough to determine our verdict, even if I wasn't in a hurry to make a hospital visit.
I'm sure the Chief Justice would appreciate that, sir. Unfortunately, we have no direct witnesses. Fortunately, the criminal left decisive evidence for us. That will have to be enough.
Can't be over already.
Very well, I believe this trial is finished. The defense has no contradicting evidence.
The prosecution has presented our proof, clear and plain. If you have contradicting evidence, it better be clear and plain.
Apollo, they've got us on the ropes already. We'd better come up with something quick. I know! Think, what can get us out of this? We need evidence, or a witness that can prove Machi is innocent beyond a doubt. Without that, go!
Mr. Justice, do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you'd better tell us about it now.
This is it, and so soon. If I mess this one up, it's all over. The court wants contradicting proof. I don't have it. Yeah, that could work. This could work. Out of everything we have right now, this seems to be the most decisive. Let's give it a shot. The defense is prepared to show contradicting evidence.
This should be interesting. What sort of evidence?
Yes, what sort of evidence, Mr. Justice? Show us evidence contradicting the prosecution's claims.
This evidence does more than contradicts, it flips the whole case on its head.
Thank you for presenting evidence that is both clear and plain, as requested.
Yes, clearly and plainly wrong. I'm afraid the only thing flipped on its head here was you as a child, Mr. Justice.
God damn. I guess that wasn't it.
My claim is clear. The only person who could have fled the scene was the defendant.
There were no witnesses either.
I fear the defense's options are limited, Mr. Justice.
Grr, there's only one way out of this. Evidence or a witness that can prove Machi's innocence beyond a doubt.
Let's ask the defense once again. Do you have contradicting proof that can overturn the prosecution's case? If you do, you'd better tell us about it now.
The court wants contradicting proof. Prosecutor Gavin, you claim that there were no witnesses to this crime. Are you absolutely sure?
Absolutely. I'd swear it on my career as a prosecutor. And on my million-seller hit song, Atroconine My Love.
There he goes again. That's too bad, because there was a witness.
Ho-ho! Really now? But how did you come to possess knowledge the prosecution clearly does not?
Because I am the only one in the world who knows this. What's going on? I just talked to him and now... He's alive! Mr. Lotus, can you hear me? How many times are we doing this? Cold, so cold. Witness. You're cold? Don't worry, I'll get you a blanket. Can't see. Hang in there, Mr. Lotus. Tell me who was the witness. The witness is Sir.
What? The victim said this before he died?
Perhaps he did, and perhaps he did not.
What do you mean by that?
All we know is what her forehead says he said. It's not testimony, especially since it comes from the defense attorney himself.
Yeah, well, it's the truth. He said it. I even told you about it. But apparently you ignored me completely.
It's my policy to fully investigate everything I deem relevant. Clearly this rookie lawyer thinks he can tell me how to do my job.
That's enough. Mr. Justice, we need clear contradictory proof from you. This witness of yours, unknown to the prosecution, I hope you're right. Failure carries a stiff penalty.
Perhaps a stiffer penalty than usual is called for.
There's no backing out now.
Let's hear the name of your witness, Mr. Justice. Lamiroir?
Recall Mr. Lotus's last words.
The witness is
The siren. Aha! He meant the siren!
That's right, the siren of the ballad, Lamiroir. Lamiroir was only on stage for the second set, and she had access to the backstage area. She could have been a witness.
I see. Well, Prosecutor Gavin?
My claim still stands. There was no witness to this crime.
Very well. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth then, shall we? We will now take a break from Detective M.S. Sky's cross-examination. Please show Lamiroir to the witness stand.
Lamiroir would say nothing the night of the murder. Not today, though. Today we'll drag that story out of her, no matter what it is.
It is my distinct honor to welcome the siren of the ballad to our courtroom.
Or home. Sorry, I didn't prepare for this. I'm gonna go grab something to do the voice. I'll be right back. Alright. I'm back with well, anyways. You're too kind.
You can speak English?
Yes. Yes, I can. Though I'm not very good. There is much I do not know.
You speak so well. Have you spent time here before?
Actually, I do not know how I came by my knowledge of your language, nor where I studied it.
What does she mean she doesn't know? I too sought to call her as a witness, but I did not. I had a reason, of course.
What's that?
Lamiroir suffers from amnesia.
Amnesia?
Lamiroir is not my true name, yet I remember nothing of the time before I was given it. Nothing of the time before I started singing on stage.
Well, she's even more mysterious than I thought. As lauded singer Lamiroir, she lives a good life. There are little difficulties for her, thanks to her success. Yet, I do not wish to subject her to unnecessary stress.
I see. That is very considerate of you. 10 points to Gryffindor. I care surprisingly little about people's pasts. You have nothing to fear in this court, Lamiroir. Even if you have committed the most heinous of genocides, that is all in the past.
Thank you. Yet there is something I do not understand. I am being called as a witness. What might I say? No one will tell me anything of what happened.
Lamiroir, let me be frank. I did not want to ask you up here to testify. Yet that young gentleman with the wide forehead over there was adamant that you stand.
Oh my. Congratulations, Apollo. You're the bad guy.
Well, now that you're here, please give us your testimony. If nothing else, the sound of your voice is welcome. Tell us what you saw the night of the crime.
Here we go. Is she gonna throw the kid under the bus? I swear to God. As for what I saw nothing. That night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did. I did not return backstage after the second set. Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
I must say, you sound wonderful just testifying.
I hope he was too distracted to hear what she was actually saying.
There you have it. She saw nothing that night. Now you can only pray that the defense has the sense to admit defeat and refrain from detaining her here longer than need be.
Wow, you just got better, Apollo. Way to go.
Grr. Very well, Mr. Justice. Keep it short and sweet.
Lamiroir wouldn't talk to me on the night of the crime. She must know something. I've got to find out what. Okay. So, do we have free reign to press on everything, or? Let's see. As for what I saw nothing.
But you must have seen something! Mr. Latouche named you!
Mr. Latouche? How can I tell you what I don't know?
Lamiroir, he said you were a witness with his dying words.
I do not know what he meant to say, but that night I was invited to sing on stage, and this I did.
It was a great concert.
You heard me sing? Thank you.
I was hoping to get an autograph later, actually.
Of course.
Mr. Justice, this is a cross-examination. You're out of line. If anyone deserves an autograph here, it's me. one on my gavel would be nice.
Hey, Judge.
What's this?
It's my autograph. Now keep this trial moving.
What? Oh, my grandchild will be so happy.
Apparently his grandson is a big fan.
Let us continue, shall we? If you would, Lamiroir. Tell us what you did after your stellar performance.
I did not return backstage after the second set.
You did not return backstage once? Where were you then? What were you doing?
I was cleaning up on stage. There are many things I must do for a performance other than simply sing.
And was Machi with you at the time?
Unfortunately, I did not know where he was.
So much for an alibi for Machi.
Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and told to wait there.
With Machi, correct? How was he then?
He seemed as he always does. Though I believe he was shocked by the news of Mr. Latouche's death. Yet, he is not the type to show much emotion.
Yes, he's given the police no end of headaches. He answers most questions with silence, and those glinting frames speak nothing. The questioning hasn't gotten very far.
We sat there, waiting. That was where I learned that something had happened, but I wasn't told the details.
How was the incident explained to you?
I was told nothing in detail, only that Mr. Latouche died.
Of course, investigations require some security.
But Mr. Latouche was my manager. I wanted to know more. I should have been told. Both Machi and I were beside ourselves with concern.
Allow me to apologize, but please understand, keeping you in the dark was as painful for me as it was for you.
Yes, I understand.
Think, what doesn't ring true about her testimony? It's hard to imagine Lamiroir lying. She might not be lying, but she's hiding something. What wouldn't she tell me the night of the murder?
Saw nothing. Invited to sing on stage. Return backstage. Told to wait there. Okay. What do we have? Oh! Now we use the brooch, maybe. Okay, but where do we present? Do we present the brooch here? I did not return. Maybe. Okay. Let's try the brooch now. I'm sorry, Lamiroir, but I'm having trouble believing you. You remember this brooch, do you not? Why, that's Lamiroir's. She was wearing it for her song.
Care to add that to the testimony, Prosecutor Gavin?
What?
This brooch was found after the murder took place. At the very scene of the crime. That? Lamiroir, how did your brooch get backstage if you did not go there yourself? And as Prosecutor Gavin has just told us, you had been wearing it during your performance that night.
What is the meaning of this? Lamiroir, please explain.
Lamiroir.
She says English is quite difficult.
That trick is not gonna work here.
Your forehead may be large, but you are a lawyer, truly. But you have missed one important fact.
What now?
In fact, at the time of the incident, I went backstage, but only for a moment.
What?
Think back to the moment of the crime. You know whereof I speak.
She really saying all that? What is she talking about, Apollo? Right when the incident occurred. Ah! She talking about that?
Watch this room for me. I have to call for backup.
Right, understood. You want me to make sure no one comes in, right? Mr. Latouche, can you hear me?
Cold. So cold. Witness.
You're cold? Don't worry.
Witness is siren.
Siren? How can a siren witness anything? Yipes! Emma? What was that? Who's there? What's wrong? Emma, did you see anyone just now? Huh? No. I could have sworn I heard the door close.
I looked into the room. Just a glance, mind you.
So, this was when your brooch dropped. That explains that.
It does. There's no other time I could have dropped it.
But that's ridiculous! You only looked in for an instant, but you dropped your brooch.
Her forehead. She has raised a possibility. The only thing that can counter that is evidence.
So she looked in at the crime scene.
Actually, I intended to go into the dressing room. I knew nothing of what had happened, of course. But the moment I opened the door, I heard a horrible voice.
Her forehead shouting, "Who's there?" no doubt. A horrible voice indeed.
I closed the door immediately.
Well, that explains the brooch. Let's return to her testimony.
It's too convenient. She's hiding something. Lamiroir, you did look into the room though, right?
Yes?
Testify as to what you saw.
Very well, though it was only the briefest of glimpses. When my performance was finished, I went backstage for just a moment.
What did you see in that brief glimpse?
I had only opened the door slightly when I heard that horrible voice.
And shut the door.
I've always wondered, her forehead. Does that voice of yours lack a volume, no?
It's my cords of steel, man. Just back off.
I saw nothing. The late Mr. Latouche's body was behind a wall.
A wall? Was there a wall there?
Is what in English?
A division, or partition, I believe.
It was a large dressing room divided into two halls.
And the murder took place in the inside half. I guess that partition might have been the body.
Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room, and he was told to wait there.
No?
I was gonna learn something happened, but I wasn't.
Okay. Guess we're looking for a tell? It wasn't completely covered up. Okay. Doesn't cost us anything to perceive, so let's see. Where would her tell be? What's that? What are you swallowing there, huh? Gotcha! Dun dun dun.
The late Mr. Latouche's body, you say?
Yes?
You know something more about Mr. Latouche's death than you were saying.
What?
I could see you try not to remember. But the effort made you swallow. You can't fool my eyes.
It is true. It was so terrible after all. Why did Mr. Latouche have to be shot?
One moment, Lamiroir.
Yes?
What was that you just said? Why did Mr. Latouche have to be shot?
Yes?
She was hiding something. I knew it! Lamiroir, I'm afraid you haven't realized it, but your words just now contradict your testimony.
Eh? How could that be?
Take this! Lamiroir contradicted her own testimony, and I have the evidence to prove it. What? The fact that she wouldn't see the gunshot wound. I don't know.
If I do not misunderstand the meaning of contradiction, it is you who contradict, Mr. Justice. Your evidence is meaningless.
Wrong evidence! Gotta think this over. What did she say again? Why did Mr. Latouche have to be shot? That's right. That totally contradicts her testimony. Take this. Lamiroir contradicted her own testimony, and I have the evidence to prove it. I forgot her testimony now. What did she say that could contradict it? She said that she went in and closed the door immediately. She was escorted to... Oh, she wasn't told the details. So she wasn't told the details. So the autopsy report?
If I do not...
Come on. What? What do you want? The photo? I don't know what... There's so many evidence that we can use for this. The photo? What? Oh my god. I don't know what you want from me, game. How far back is this? Okay. Oh god, we have to do all that again? What is the evidence? Is it really the NDA you had to sign? What? Why did Mr. Latouche have to be shot? That contradicts your testimony? What? Come on, hurry up. Seriously, all of the things I presented could have worked. That sucks. Tell me, Lamiroir, how did you know he had been shot?
Eh? Well, I...
Immediately following the incident, a gag order was placed on the scene. This is the document proving that. In your testimony, you told the court, no one told me anything about the incident. Furthermore, you testified that you had seen nothing. Yet you knew that Mr. Latouche has been shot. How could you have known? Yep.
Lamiroir! You aren't hiding something from this court, I hope?
That sweet song of hers was sounding a little too sweet.
Now I remember. Please, allow me to add to my testimony.
Of course. All we want to know is the truth.
She looks kind of pale, huh? She saw something. I know it. Even the victim said so.
I saw bullet holes in the wall and knew Mr. Latouche had been shot.
Only a glimpse, yet you knew there were bullet holes?
Yes, I recognized them immediately. I have seen bullet holes before, you know.
You have traveled the world as a singer. You must have sung in places far more dangerous than our country.
I go wherever my voice is needed. Those places are many these days.
That's really cool. I hope I get to travel like Lamiroir someday.
I plan on recording my next album overseas. Their studios have a different sound, you know.
Maybe I should go on a Cores of Steel tour, too.
Then I was led by the police to Mr. Gavin's dressing room and was told to wait there.
That's it? That's the... Oh. Oh. Okay. Now we present the diagram. There we go. Lamiroir, they call you the siren of the ballad. The lies are hardly becoming of such a creature.
A put-down worthy of our prosecutor, Mr. Justice.
Such put-downs are hardly becoming of you, Apollo.
Stop polishing your forehead and stop polishing your character, y'all.
Come on, can't I be cool for once? Observe the diagram. Lamiroir, you looked in from the door for just a moment, correct?
Yes, that is so.
There were bullet holes in the room, yes. But they were in the wall the door is on.
Eh?
You see? Assuming you merely glanced into the room, you couldn't have seen those bullet holes.
York.
Lamiroir,
Yes?
I'm afraid the defense has raised a good point. It appears you have been holding back something.
And I must tell you what it is that I saw.
Yes? The happenings in this trial are being recorded. I'm certain that it will be on the news in Virginia. You understand your reputation is at stake. It falls to you to avoid tarnishing it.
Personally speaking, I still believe that cross-examining her will yield us absolutely nothing.
But she knew how Mr. Latouche died, and he named her as a witness. You must have seen something, Lamiroir.
Very well. Lamiroir, please continue your testimony.
Very well, I shall. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it. But it wasn't Machi. It was a grown person. I know it was.
Huh.
So you did witness the crime, and the killer was a grown person, you say?
This is my first time hearing this, I assure you. Nice play, Half-Head.
Very well, Mr. Justice, you may begin your cross-examination.
Great going, Apollo. You were right about Lamiroir. What's wrong? You don't look too happy. This whole thing smells fishy. That's what's wrong.
What is she up to now?
I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit.
So you were heading toward the dressing room.
Yes.
So this is a little before she opened the dressing room door and dropped her brooch. About the same time Emma and I heard those shots.
I was on my way back. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it.
What exactly is something like a little window?
Yes, well, window is the best word I know in English. I think this is how it is said, yes?
You need not vary, Lamiroir. Your choice of words is impeccable. There is a small window in the dressing room in question. Perhaps the defense remembers this detail?
That little window on the wall.
I saw the crime from there. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it.
You are certain you heard 2 shots fired?
Yes, quite certain. I was on my way to the backstage exit. This was when I heard a faint sound, like a gunshot. Wondering what it had been, I peered through the window. That is when I heard the second gunshot, much closer.
There were 2 bullet holes at the scene. No contradiction so far.
It all happened on the other side of that window. There was nothing I could do. But it wasn't Machi.
It wasn't Machi who are you sure?
Yes, quite certain.
It amuses me that you would question her testimony. It is testimony in your favor. Isn't it my job to object?
Yeah, Apollo, what were you thinking? Juicy, let's just listen to what Lamiroir has to say. Can you tell me how you are so sure?
Yes, of course. You see, it was a grown person. I know it was.
A grown person? That's a little vague.
I'm sorry. My skill with your language is lacking, I know.
Certainly you could at least see whether the shooter was male or female.
It was a man. A young man.
And you're sure of that?
Yes, his voice was quite clear.
Voice?
Looking at this diagram, it seems the dressing room was quite cluttered. It does seem likely that you wouldn't have had a clear view of the shooter.
As a singer, I rely more on my ears than my eyes. When I hear a voice, I do not forget it. That voice was the voice of a man.
So you heard a voice. But wait. Couldn't that have been the victim, Mr. Latouche?
Absolutely not. Did I not just say that I do not forget a voice? If it was Mr. Latouche who spoke, I would have known.
Indeed. So you were at the window and you heard the shooter's voice, the voice of a young man.
Apollo, this is a good testimony. That proves it wasn't Machi.
Got a bad feeling about this. Indeed. If this turns out to be true, it would cast this case in a considerably different light. What is the defense's opinion of this testimony?
Alright. We're not getting... There's no penalties on the line here, so let's go ahead and say this.
Though it pains me to say this, there is something about Lamiroir's testimony that rings false.
Bravo, Herr Forehead! You're colder than I thought.
I'm sure you remember what the problem is as well as I do, Gavin. As has been established, no grown man could pass through that air vent. He couldn't have fled the scene of the crime. But that means Lamiroir has to be lying. I know, and I know it's bad for our case, but I can't shut my eyes to this. Believe me, the idea was tempting.
It is as Herr Forehead says, yet this is not the only contradiction of his in her testimony.
What next? What is he talking about?
Lamiroir, I understand why you would want to protect Machi, yet remember, you are the siren of the ballad, and lies do not become such a creature.
What does the prosecution mean?
Apollo, what's he talking about? How come no one bats an eye when he says stuff like that?
I recall the state of the crime scene quite well.
The state of the room?
Yes, and where the murder took place. That window is closed. I find it hard to believe you could hear a voice through it.
What? But I'm sure.
Lamiroir, I have nothing but the highest regard for your musical sense. My opinion of you as a witness is somewhat lesser.
But she's the only eyewitness we have.
So you say, and the victim named her the Siren as the witness?
That's right. That's what Mr. Latouche...
We heard your claim. We even entertained the possibility, and it brought us to this. Herr Judge?
Yes?
The prosecution requests that the witness be excused. Please.
I'm afraid I must honor the prosecution's request. There is indeed a question of the witness's credibility.
But if Lamiroir can't testify, then we don't have a chance of proving Machi's innocence.
This cross-examination is over. Prosecutor Gavin, you may continue making your case.
Danke. Now where were we? Ah, yes. I would like to hear from Fräulein Detective again.
Wait, let me hear Lamiroir's testimony one last time.
But the cross-examination is already over. Until such a time as a need arises, this witness may leave the stand.
I'm sorry, I could not be of more assistance.
At last, back to the real trial. Ready, Herr Forehead?
Grr, I hope I didn't just miss my only chance.
Fräulein Detective, how far had we gotten until we were so rudely interrupted?
Don't ask me!
I dislike saying the same thing twice, and I never repeat a song for an encore.
If you would, Miss Guy.
I believe I was saying that the only way Mr. Latus's killer could have escaped was through that air vent on the ceiling.
Ah, yes, there was only one door in the room, and a witness, you, was standing in front of it.
That air vent isn't very big, see? Kind of limits the people who could possibly get through.
I certainly wouldn't have a difficult time.
You sure would. Not that you would have been in there in the first place, though. Remember, the whole backstage area was off limits to people not involved with the concert. The only one who meets the conditions for our killer is the defendant. A virtuoso performance. I couldn't have put it better myself.
She does set a clear case, though reading the report, something caught my eye.
Oh, what's that?
The circumstances of the defendant's arrest.
The circumstances? Again? Hey, that's right, Apollo. Remember when we found Machi? That was bizarre. She's right. Why did Mr. Latus's body disappear from the room? And end up on top of that stage tower? Holding a guitar, no less.
A perceptive observation, Herr Judge.
Ah, thanks. It was kind of an accident, really. But you work in this job long enough, you get a nose for things.
The judge sure seems pleased with himself.
Very good, Fräulein Detective. Perhaps you can tie it all together for us. Why was the body moved? And how does that lead us to the killer? I believe Machi stole the body because of some lyrics. He moved the body to match Lamiroir's song. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim, and Machi practically left his signature at the scene. All of this evidence clearly points to the defendant.
Right. Except for the fact that he's a child and he could barely carry a fucking briefcase, let alone carry a grown man to the top of the stage. Sure, besides that little fact, you're right. All evidence leads to the little kid. Lamiroir's song.
Yes, the guitar serenade. You noticed its code too, did you not?
It's code.
All the events that day followed the lyrics to our song. First, the keys my heart held onto so tightly were stolen. Then Prosecutor...
Oh. What? Oh. Then Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames on stage. Mr. Latus's life was taken by a bullet.
The rest hardly needs explanation. Guitar, up together to the sky.
That's mad! It's like a story out of some fairy tale. I love those.
I admit I've forgotten about the song, but there it is now, waiting for me, the grand finale, as it were. Hey, you know, I was the one who first noticed that.
I've heard of jumping rope to songs and counting to songs, but killing?
It's a bad word, that's a Herr Judge.
Very well. We've heard one song and dance. Let's get on to the next. The cross-examination.
Alright. Let me just take a quick break and then we'll continue. Alright. Cross-examination time. Here we go. Oh. I'm not so sure I'm going to be doing much singing. Okay. Thanks for that.
I believe Machi stole the body because of some lyrics.
Who would steal a body just to match some lyrics?
I didn't believe in myself, but it can't just be a coincidence. It is as Fräulein Detective says. Let us begin with the first verse, if you would, Fräulein Detective. What? You want me to sing it? You are the witness, yeah? Or did you want me to sing? I warn you, my fears vocalist is not trivial. Fine, fine. Ahem. Let's look at the first part of the lyrics, shall we? When you stole away the keys my heart held onto so tight. Indeed, my favorite heart-shaped keyring was stolen that morning. Next, we go to the right page of the lyric sheet. where we find burning on in my heart, fire, burn my love away, all away. As we know, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flame. Like a bullet of love, fire, take my life away, all away. Mr. Lotus's life was taken by a bullet. Bravo, Fraulein Detective. Your singing, it's not bad. Now, for the finale. Guitar, guitar, up together to the sky. As it says in the lyrics, Mr. Lotus was found with a guitar high in the sky over the stage. No series of coincidences could be so well conceived. He's right, scientifically speaking.
What would Waki have said? That concert was whack. It's hard to argue when she pours her heart into it like that.
Anyway, the shooter... He moved the body to match Lamiroir's song.
Does the prosecution have any idea why he'd do all this?
You want my scientific opinion? No clue. But he clearly had a reason to go through all that trouble. Some deep reason.
A deep reason?
Not only did he steal my keys, he torched my guitar. Unforgivable acts, even if he had a reason. And worse if he had none. Diva's complaints aside, I can't imagine someone doing this on just a whim. Fraulein Detective, I take offense at that description.
Indeed, it does seem too well rehearsed, shall we say.
Yes, this crime was planned for sure. No one in this country had a motive to kill the victim.
But, Mr. Latouche spoke English. He may have come to this country before.
I looked into that, I assure you.
Oh?
It was his first time in the country, it seems. Apparently, he learned English on his own.
Great.
You see? No one here had a motive to kill him, and clearly not in such an elaborate fashion.
It does seem difficult to imagine.
Unless our famous prosecutor did it as a publicity stunt. What did you say?
Prosecutor Gavin, you did this to promote your song?
Of course not, and I am quite dismayed by the ludicrous nature of our claim. Why would I need promotion? Everyone already listens to my music.
They're even in my textbook at school. And I'd never heard of them. What does that say about me?
I was just kidding. Don't get all worked up, Glamour Boy. And Machi practically left his signature at the scene.
What do you mean by his signature?
The bullet holes in the wall, of course. The bullet holes. The revolver was fired twice. One shot missed and left a hole in the wall.
That means what, exactly?
That dressing room isn't exactly spacious. Picture the shooter facing off with the victim in there. They can't have been more than 5 feet apart. It would be difficult, almost impossible to miss at that range.
Difficult to miss, you say?
Very. Assuming the shooter could properly aim.
No, he can't be serious. Machi, he can't see. That's why he missed?
It's the only explanation that makes sense. He used sound and other senses to fire the gun. Poorly. That reminds me, the monitor in that room was blaring at the time, yeah? Hardly ideal conditions for tracking by sound.
Blind shooter. No wonder he missed.
I knew those bullet holes would come back to haunt me. Think, Justice, what do I do now? Object to what? There's nothing to object to. What do we say? I don't know, sure. Sure, there were bullet holes left in the wall. But that doesn't prove the shooter couldn't see.
Oh, how so?
Well, there could have been a struggle with the victim.
That's certainly possible.
And it might have been the revolver's fault.
A revolver?
A revolver is a very large caliber, correct?
If the shooter was used to firing such a large weapon, why it could dislocate their shoulder?
Exactly. The defendant, Machi Tobaye, is, as you see, tiny. Not so hard to picture him firing the gun and missing entirely. The kickback alone would throw off his aim.
A convincing argument, to be sure.
Haha, take that, smug prosecution. Apollo.
Huh? What?
That bit about Machi being tiny, and the gun throwing off his aim, aren't you kind of, admitting that he did it?
Oh.
It does not matter why he missed. What matters is that the shooter was, without a doubt, the defendant. Even the defense seems to agree on that point.
Yarg! Cripes! I really put my foot in it this time.
But let's get the fact of the matter on the record. If you would, Fraulein Detective.
Very well. The witness will add this to her testimony.
Right. From the state of the crime scene, I conclude the shooter was blind.
You can't say he was blind just because of those bullet holes in the wall. I think I've proven that.
I wouldn't call it proof, per se.
Huh?
You've merely raised a possibility. Fraulein Detective has made a most logical conjecture based upon the evidence. Of course, there's more evidence than just bullet holes. The defendant was the only one who could have escaped through the air vent.
But wait, if he was blind, how would he know about the air vent in the first place?
A very good point. Well, Fraulein Detective, if you would care to explain.
He certainly seems sure of himself.
Recall the crime scene, if you would. There was a stepladder below the air vent. As it happens, maintenance was scheduled for that day. Custodial staff went around checking all the air vents.
I don't believe it.
Everyone backstage was told about the maintenance, including Machi Tobaye. He would have known that there would be a way out at the top of that stepladder.
But that's... why is this the first time I'm hearing about this?
You could have figured it out for yourself. You only needed to consider what that stepladder was doing there.
Looks like the defense's objection has been squished by a stepladder.
Well, hair forehead? Out of ammunition, perhaps?
I've never seen Prosecutor Gavin so aggressive. Maybe he's caught the scent of blood. Or something else. Paul, don't you have something? Anything? You know what we need. We need something to prove the killer could see. That'll put him in his place. Proving the shooter was sighted would do it. That would take down one of their central points. Do I have any evidence that can prove that, though?
I don't know. The fact that it was shot in the back. So, no, but I mean that makes it even worse because when you're shooting someone from the back, they're not expecting it. So even a blind person could do it. I guess not. I can't think of anything that proves the shooter could see. Your face does not exactly project confidence. Maybe you should just accept it and move on.
Apollo, grow a backbone.
Very well. The witness may continue her testimony.
I couldn't even get a word in edgewise.
This doesn't look so good, does it, Apollo? No, it does not. What do we do? First, we don't panic, even though Machi's case is leaking water by the gallon. Gavin's on a roll, and it's up to me to stop him.
Some lyrics, match the song.
There are 3 keys on this heart-shaped key ring. This guitar-shaped key was the key to a guitar case. Wasn't he saying he had to break his case because he couldn't get it unlocked? I could open a lock like that in 10 seconds, easy. You should have given me a call. So he could slap handcuffs on you after you opened it? Handcuffs. 20 seconds tops. I'm glad she's on my side. No? Okay. Witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, but I can see nothing faulty. Fortunately, I would have to penalize you, Mr. Justice.
I must be on the wrong track. Okay. So it's not that. So we really need to prove that he's not blind somehow. How the fuck do we do that? Something here we can use. The lyrics? Like a bullet of love? I don't know. Good. Are there any fingerprints on the gun? Fingerprint on the trigger? Huh. How do we prove that the shooter could see? Because of all the clutter? All the clutter in the room? Maybe, okay. Let's try that out. No? Clearly, contradicts the, I thought...
You don't sound very sure, Mr. Justice. Objection overruled.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Maybe I have to do it with here by the prompt. Hold on. Let's try that again. Oh! Wait, did I just do an objection by default? But wait, if he was blind, how would he know about the air vent in the first place? Oh, no. We did that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. I accept the prosecution's challenge. As I knew you would, Warhead. What exactly am I up against here? Prosecution is saying the shooter missed because they couldn't see. Therefore, Machi, who's blind, did it.
The defense will please present their evidence. Evidence that overturns the prosecution's claim that the shooter couldn't see. I'm not sure that overturns anything, Mr. Justice.
Wrong evidence. Apparently both love and justice are blind. I have to think. There must be something. Anything. This doesn't look so good, does it, Apollo? No, it doesn't. Shit. What do we present? Is it really the picture? My logic with the floor plan, the diagram, is that there's so much clutter that a blind person couldn't just, just so easily make a run for it towards the stepladder. Obviously, the big argument here is that he couldn't shoot a big revolver, but everyone seems okay with that. The other argument is, I guess, the shot is too accurate. This seems to be the right way to go, so sure. The shooter couldn't see. Overturned the prosecution's claim that the shooter couldn't see. This is that evidence! What? Okay. Explain yourself. Because I don't even know how... Let's see the logic.
The photograph of the crime scene.
I don't care much for the smirk on Prosecutor Gavin's face. But this is no time to think twice. Time to press on! Yes, Your Honor, the crime scene. There is something in here that decisively contradicts the prosecution's point.
Then perhaps you'd best show us this something. Get your finger out of the breeze and put it to good use, yeah?
Yeah, indeed. Very well. Show us what you're talking about, Mr. Justice.
Gotta tread real carefully here.
The contradiction at the scene of the crime is...
Oh, the fact that he wrote something and someone's smushed it? Maybe? The contradiction is right here.
The smeared bloodstains?
I thought it was just my blurry vision. But it really was blurry. The way the victim's hand is raised above his head. Much like a gesture I've seen many times in this court.
It's almost as if you wrote something. I get it. At least I think I get it.
Get what, Fräulein?
When Mr. Latouche was shot, he tried to write something. And what would he write but the shooter's name? And what would he write it in but his own blood? Pretty good, huh? Thanks for making my point for me. Yes, in fact, that's what I think happened here.
That does seem to be a distinct possibility.
The victim wrote the killer's name. It's certainly a logical conclusion.
Drat, I just wish it wasn't all rubbed out like that.
Of course it's rubbed out. Why, if I were a killer, I certainly wouldn't want to leave my own name behind.
Neither would I.
No one has anything else to say?
About what?
So the prosecution accept this. You agree this was the victim making an attempt to record the name of the killer? And that the killer tried to rub the name out?
What's your point?
What's my point? Let me ask you this. How did the killer know the victim was writing their name?
Well, Mr. Latouche was writing something in blood. Once the killer saw what it was... Wait a minute.
Once he saw what it was...
But what did you just specify about the shooter?
I said they were blind. Ah!
Yet the crime scene itself contradicts that. The killer had to have been able to see. Why would they know about the name of the blood otherwise? May I remind the court that the defendant Machi Tobaye is blind? He couldn't have been the shooter.
Impossible!
Order! 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 Prosecutor Gavin, please explain to me what all this means. I mean, looking at this photo, it seems quite clear that the shooter could see. Yet, up until now...
It seems I owe the court an apology.
Mm-hmm.
The governors are banned with law enforcement ties, yet a murder occurred during our concert. Apparently this caused some confusion over jurisdiction. As a result, some reports were not filed in an entirely timely manner.
I'm not sure I like the vibe I'm getting here. Hey, Apollo, look at him. Why is Prosecutor Gavin all relaxed and smiling like that? Like he knows something we don't. And he's about to tell us.
I've got an idea. Let's rock! With these documents. But before that, I have a question for the Fräulein detective. If I may. Why? Tell me, why do you think that Machi Tobaye is blind? Huh?
What did you say?
What are you saying? Of course he's blind. Of course. He's the blind penis, right? So he's... Doesn't Lamiroir lead him around by the hand all the time?
No way.
I have a report here on the defendant, Machi Tobaye. According to this, Machi Tobaye can see perfectly well. What? His blindness was merely a publicity ploy by those clever Bolginians. He can see quite well.
But you said...
What did I say exactly? Herr Forehead, not once in the course of this trial have I claimed the defendant was blind. The only one who did was Fräulein Detective.
But that's...
A significant fact, yes. Consider, Machi Tobaye sees, and he was the only one who could have fled through the air vent. I see no problems with this. What about the bullet holes in the wall? Yes, the bullet holes. I believe Herr Forehead neatly explains those for us. He didn't miss because he couldn't see. It was the kickback from the 45 caliber revolver. A simple accident, in other words. How's that? I'm afraid your objection has just flown off for brighter skies. This is where the real fun begins, Herr Forehead. Jorg. I knew you didn't have what it took. You jerk! Just what was I in here for? Comic relief?
Yeah, apologize.
Oh, sorry.
That's no way to apologize. He's angry the trucy now. Look out.
Ahem, if we can please end the bickering. Now?
Whatever, I'm not leaving. I can't leave like this. I'll come up with some clue to solving this case if it kills me.
Your testimony has already given us enough to convict the defendant.
Don't say that.
Aha!
Aha, what?
This bloodstain. The criminals tried to wipe it off, right?
That seems to be what happened, yes.
We might be able to find out what was really written here.
Really? You can do that?
That's right. With this. It's called luminol. Maybe you know of it. It's a chemical that reacts to blood. Ah, yes. Have we done those tests yet? Ha! As if I'm gonna tell you. The bloodstains covered a section of the carpet. In order to perform blood tests, that section was removed and submitted. Perhaps we should request it here in court now. Right. Go for it, Apollo.
Huh? I have to do the test?
You just have to spray the luminol on it. Simple.
A chemical that reacts to blood. I've heard of this somewhere.
Yes, I believe an analysis is called for. Have at it.
Right. Ready? It's as easy as pie. Just press A to spray an area. Here, give it a try.
The eyes of the entire court are focused on me. Apollo, your hand's shaking.
Garah.
Let's do this. Happy birthday. What?
Oh.
Wow, it really worked. This must be the power of science.
It says IPXX314206. Is that the killer's name?
Maybe it is, if the killer was a robot.
Aha! I have it. Aha! I have it.
So what is it?
I thought those letters IPXX looked familiar. This is an Interpol ID number. Interpol? You mean the International Police Agency? Yes. Most are undercover agents working to solve international crimes. But why would he write that number?
Why would Mr. Latouche even know a number like that?
Good show, Fräulein Detective. Rock on. Eh? Your Honor, we can verify this number immediately. Darian, are you there? Come up to the witness stand. Darian, you heard what we need. Go check into this Interpol ID number.
Sure thing. Give me 30 minutes. No, give me 27. I'm not sure what to think of all this. Prosecution's case is airtight, or so it seems. Yet if this number is really that of an Interpol agent...
Oh, wait. I know. What if Machi Tobaye's really an undercover Interpol agent? That would be a possibility.
Possibility, yes. and one that would mark him as the killer for certain.
Why did Latouche know an Interpol ID number? It has to be his. That's what I want to know.
Well, we have some time while we wait Darian's report. Let's work on unraveling another mystery, shall we? A curious mystery concerning Machi Tobaye.
What are you talking about?
Fraulein Detective, please accept my apologies. I received word that the defendant could, in fact, see just before the trial began. Seemed too much of a bother to tell you. You had me until that last bit. Does this not raise a rather straightforward question? Well, sure. Why did Machi pretend he couldn't see? Exactly. It makes little sense. What do you think, Herr Forehead?
Huh? Me?
Machi Tobaye pretended he was blind. Do you know why? How can he know?
Wait. Prosecutor Gavin knows why, doesn't he? He's known from the start of the trial. He's been leading us on the whole time.
Something wrong? Do you think perhaps this is all some kind of game? No, since the moment I heard that report, I knew why.
I suppose people who have sold over 1 million records really are something else.
What does that have to do with anything?
There was a reason why Machi Tobaye pretended to be blind, but it wasn't for his own sake. Getting the picture now?
It wasn't for himself.
Well, Mr. Justice, can you present evidence that shows us why the defendant had to feign blindness?
To spy on Lamiroir? I have no idea.
Have what? I'm disappointed in you. Unless you're merely feigning stupidity, yeah?
Keep it up, wise guy.
Recalls the relationship of Lamiroir and Machi Tobaye. In particular, their arrangement over the years before visiting our country. Lamiroir and her pianist. They would always walk together, she leading him by the hand. Even when they got on stage, she would lead him to the piano. She would walk all the way over there with him. That's right, because he was blind, or so we thought. She led him at all times. All times.
All times.
Yet we now know that Machi could see perfectly well. Why keep up the charade?
Well, wasn't it part of their, performance?
There's a simple explanation, Herr Judge. Machi did not need to be led by the hand at all. Which means...
You don't mean...
I do. It was the other way around. The one who needed to be led by the hand was Lamiroir.
What's this? So you mean to say that Lamiroir is... She's...
Blind as a bat, Herr Judge.
What? What?
Order! 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 This is crazy, Prosecutor Gavin.
Yeah, wasn't she supposed to be a landscape painter in sound or something?
Well, since we have her here, why not ask Lamiroir herself? I believe she is still in the witness waiting room.
Apollo, what does this mean for our cause? For our case? Don't ask me. I had no idea she couldn't see. I hadn't even imagined it until now.
Bailiff, bring in Lamiroir.
Lamiroir, it pains me deeply to call you before us again in this way, and yet I must.
Please, do not be concerned on my behalf.
Those eyes. She really can't see? Really?
It is true. How funny it is that a tiny lie born in the Borginian countryside would one day grow to entangle the entire world.
So you are...
Yes, as I mentioned before, I have no memory of the time before I became Lamiroir. No, too, as my memories begin in darkness. The word light has no meaning for Lamiroir.
I see.
You may recall me saying something towards the beginning of this trial, Herr Forehead.
What's that?
I believe I said it was unfortunate this crime had no direct witness. Now, Lamiroir, I must ask you to stand once more. Will you testify to the court about your eyes?
Of course. It was never my intent to deceive any of you. May I begin, Your Honor?
Yes, of course. Though I admit I'm a little lost here.
I think we're all a bit lost here, Your Honor. Okay. Sure, we got some time to kill.
I have no memory of the light. I debuted in a world of darkness and sound. My producer came up with my PR line before he knew this. So, silly as it may sound, I had to pretend I could see. Everyone on my staff knew, of course, but no others.
But this is a murder trial.
I apologize. It was part of my contract, you see. I was to keep my blindness a secret, no matter what. Music is everything for me. I never imagined something like this would.
She told us the truth in the beginning. Then she said she saw nothing.
Very well. Does the defense have anything to add?
I'd like to cross-examine. But what is there left to ask? There was one thing in her testimony that bothered me.
Perhaps it is best we let you get it out of your system. Someday you'll come to understand the importance of thinking for yourself.
Very well. The defense may proceed. However, be aware this court will not tolerate any questions deemed too stressful to the witness.
Okay. There was only one part that bothered me. Just let me ask about that, and I'll be happy. Interesting. We're having this sudden death type deal. Okay. So maybe I should just go straight for the kill. No time to ask around. Okay. Light and sound, producer. Pretend I can see. Do we present or press? Let's try to press. When you say your staff, do you include Mr. Latouche?
Of course, he was my manager.
So he knew. That's what's been bugging me.
Something the matter, Mr. Justice?
I believe I know what is bothering our young defense attorney. You are thinking of when you discovered the body, yes?
Is he right, Apollo?
Yes, I was.
Oh my god. He's alive! Miss Latouche, can you hear me? Cold, so cold, witness. You're cold? Don't worry. I'll got a tauntaun for you. See. Hang in there, Miss Latouche. Tell me, who is the witness? The witness is Miss Latouche told me to ask the witness, and he named you. Why would he do that? He knew you were blind.
I don't know.
Tisk tisk.
Huh?
What did I just say? You need to learn to think for yourself.
Meaning what?
There's no mystery here if you'll recall everything he said. Think of his last words once more.
The witness? Siren? We've heard them many times, along with a little play acting by our defense.
I remember them well myself, but that statement is not to what I refer. I mean what he said before that.
Before? What came before that?
That's right. He tried to tell you. When he said can't see, he wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about the witness.
I see!
Too bad the defense did not. Well, have I had? Try relaxing and looking at the facts first next time.
How was I supposed to know that?
Hold up! Hold up!
Recall Lamiroir's earlier testimony.
I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There were 2 shots. I couldn't do anything to stop it.
But she couldn't have heard those gunshots. I thought we proved that.
That is not the most important point here. The moment he was shot, Mr. Latouche witnessed her through that window. Why else would he have named her as the witness?
But I really did hear them. 2 gunshots, and the man's voice.
Unfortunately, such a thing was impossible. The window was closed. We have already run a simulation, of course.
But it was so clear. If I heard that voice again, I would know it in an instant.
Your Honor. What is it, bailiff? Can't you see we're in session here? We have results back from the investigation. The investigation?
Ah, the Interpol number that Mr. Latouche left us.
Well, let's hear it. We will continue this cross-examination afterward. Detective Crescent, your report, please. I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing.
Quick work is ours, Darian.
Well, tell us about the number. Is it a secret agent? IPXX314206. The agent registered under this number was Romy and Latouche.
What?
Our undercover Interpol agent was Mr. Latouche himself. He was apparently in the middle of an operation. So, when he wrote those letters, he was trying to tell us his own identity. And a cautious killer tried to wipe him away.
Mr. Latouche was an undercover Interpol agent. So him being Lamiroir's manager was just a cover, most likely.
There is one other important detail I found.
Well, out with it.
It concerns that 45 caliber revolver, the murder weapon. Apparently it belonged to Romy and Latouche. He had an Interpol permit to carry firearms, and the registration number on the revolver matched.
So the victim was killed with his own weapon, which makes sense. It's hard to imagine someone who wasn't an Interpol agent with such a large revolver.
So the victim was an Interpol agent on an undercover op. I wonder how that ties into everything. It's got to tie in somehow, you'd think. Yeah, somehow.
Thanks for looking into that for us, Detective Crescent. It's a great help. Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out. But
Wait!
Lamiroir, is something the matter?
That voice just now.
Darian?
Mr. Darian, is it? It was him. I'm sure of it.
It was him?
You aren't saying...
That voice I heard, talking to Mr. Latouche, when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darian.
Is this some kind of joke? What?
No way.
The courtroom fell into such a chaotic state, the trial had to be suspended temporarily. I've never seen that happen before. Of course, it's not every day that you get an accusation like that one. Lamiroir fingering Darian Crescent. Not only is he a guitarist, he's a detective. Could it really have been his voice Lamiroir heard? Things were changing fast, and frankly, I wasn't sure I could keep up with it. Hey, no wimping out now, Apollo. Yes, ma'am.